Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and hanging out with me for a little bit and checking the video out. And guys, today we're going to be talking about how to retrieve a Whopper Plopper to get more bites on it. I've got 2 or 3 different type of retrieves that I use on a Whopper Plopper that seem to really work to trigger those inactive bass into biting. There's a lot more to reeling in a Whopper Plopper than just throwing it out and reeling it in, and can make a huge difference as far as how you bring that bait in. It has a huge difference in actually getting that fish to commit to the bait and strike the bait. So we're going to show you everything you need to know about that in today's episode. Also guys, I will put the Whopper Plopper link and my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. If you guys need to get some Whopper Ploppers, you can use that link. It's a good way to support the channel. And also thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button. And finally guys, if you want to go to the next level on Intuitive Angling to support the channel, you can be a channel member. And channel members get private videos every week that are not seen by the public, and some access to my email address for your fishing questions. So just go to my YouTube homepage, click on the join button or membership button for information there, and get y'all set up with that. I appreciate that. Okay, here's the thing about a Whopper Plopper and any type of reaction topwater. Now, most topwaters, unless they're like a chugger or a prop bait that you work real slow, like you chug it and let it set for a long time and you chug it, most topwaters that you reel with any type of at least a medium speed retrieve are a reaction lure that generates reaction strikes from bass. And anytime that you're using a reaction lure, whether it be a spinnerbait or a crankbait or a topwater, anything like that, the bass, they have to be in a certain mood, and their personalities have to match the retrieve that you're using, because a lot of it, sometimes they're in different states of activity. Sometimes the bass are really active, sometimes they're neutral, sometimes they're inactive. And one of the things you can do as an angler is you can vary your retrieve and change up your retrieve to actually trick those bass into biting. So I want to share with you guys what I've learned about the Whopper Plopper retrieves that I get more bites on it. A lot of this that I'm talking about here, you can apply this all year long, but for the Whopper Plopper, for the most part, guys, I consider it a fall lure. I've caught some bass on it in the spring and the summertime, but right now is when a Whopper Plopper shines. And if you've heard me talking about Whopper Ploppers, I talk about how the bass are conditioned to them and they don't bite them as good as they used to, and that is true. You cannot catch as many bass on a Whopper Plopper as you could 10 years ago, but under the right conditions, they're still effective baits to use, so we're going to go over that. Okay, let's talk about the retrieves a little bit. I'm going to pull back here and show you as far as how I like to retrieve this. Now, first of all, let me give you a little tips advice on the equipment to throw a Whopper Plopper, because the equipment that you use has a lot to do with maximizing the efficiency and getting the bait to work right. Out of all the rods that I have tried for Whopper Plopper, my favorite is a flipping stick. I use that Megabass Alkalies flipping stick. I'll put all this stuff in the link in the description. 7.1 gear ratio reel, and I use 20 to 25 pound test Seaguar and VizX fluorocarbon line for it. I do not like braid. One of the things you'll find out about a Whopper Plopper, the way that I'm going to show you how to retrieve it, is you need a little bit of line stretch. And braid is not forgiving whatsoever. I mean, a lot of people use braid on a Whopper Plopper. I just don't like it. I've experimented with braid on different type of rods. For me, the flipping stick 20-25 pound test fluorocarbon is the way to go. Couple different things for that. Number one is a Whopper Plopper is a large bait, and when a bass bites it, you have to move a large amount of plastic and hooks. Therefore, the power of a flipping stick will help you. A flipping stick will allow you to have a longer cast, gets a better hook set, better control of the fish. Highly suggest going with a flipping stick with it. Okay, now there's I want to show you basically 2 types of retrieves. Now, these are the 2 retrieves that I use most of the time with the Whopper Plopper. And when I talk about a Whopper Plopper, I'm talking about the big one. The big 130 is the one that I use most of the time for this. If you do use a smaller Whopper Plopper, say if you go down like to the 110 or the 90 size, the smaller ones like that, I can tell you one thing about it is on the smaller ones, they prefer a slower retrieve. But on the bigger ones, you need to use the faster retrieve with some variations in it, simply because you don't want these fish to get a good look at it. There's a big difference between the small size and the big size on a Whopper Plopper. So on the smaller ones like this, I'll just use usually just a a slow, just a steady, slow, medium retrieve on the small ones. But on the 130s, which I think is the best size to use, I'm going to show you guys how I like to fish it. Okay, there's two type of retrieves to use with the 130, depending upon the conditions that you're fishing. The first one that I use with the 130 is just a slow, steady retrieve. I'll just throw it out there, you know, and I'll just reel it like blah, 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 like that. Now, I probably use the slow retrieve maybe 15 to 20% of the time. And the other 85% of the time is what I'm getting ready to talk about next. But the slow retrieve, just the slow, steady retrieve, is normally what you want to use in colder water. So if that water temperature is in the 50s, and they'll still bite a Whopper Plopper good when that water temperature is in the 50s, that's when I'm using the slow retrieve, just a steady blah, 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 like that. Especially if the water visibility is in that zone of about 2 to 4 foot. You're gonna find out that you get a lot of bites with that. Water temperatures in the 50s, and when I'm talking about water temperatures in the 50s, I'm talking about 54 to 59 degrees. That can be some really good Whopper Plopper fishing if you have water visibility in that 2 to 3 foot range, slow, steady retrieve. But here is the juice I want to give you as far as how I get most of my bites on a Whopper Plopper. I'll throw it out there, straight to the thing like that. I'll keep my rod tip pointed straight at the bait. So I don't have it at the side like that. My rod tip is pointed straight at the bait, and I'm using a medium fast stop and go retrieve like that. I'll crank it 2 or 3 times, like 1, 2, 3, stop, 1, 2, 3, stop, 1, 2, 3, stop, like that. That stop and go retrieve with a medium fast retrieve on there is the key to generating strikes with this bait. By far, especially from bass that are not aggressive, and especially on public bodies of water that get a lot of pressure, that see a Whopper Plopper. If you throw the Whopper Plopper out there, like most people I've seen, they just throw it out there and they just reel it in just about like that. But very few of them have that faster retrieve, like this fast stop and go like that. I'm telling you guys right now, that will generate far more strikes anytime that water temperature is especially over 65 degrees. So if you're in that zone of 65 to 80 degree water temperature, and especially if you have a lake that has that zone of visibility of about 2 foot to maybe 6 foot, that's the best Whopper Plopper zone, 2 to 6 foot of visibility. Guys, just try that, throw that out there, make a long cast, rod tip straight at it, fast stop and go retrieve like that. Never stop it, never reel it just like that for over 5 or 6 cranks, just 2 or 3 cranks, stop and go, half turn. And what that does is that gets that Whopper Plopper just going just like this through the water. I mean, it has a really good sound on it, but it creates a lifelike action in the bait, because when you just reel a Whopper Plopper, it's very monotonous, and bass can really get conditioned to it, and there's nothing really special about it aside from the tail noise that it makes. But when you do the stop and go retrieve, it actually looks like an injured bait fish, and it really, really makes a big difference as far as the number of strikes you get, especially when you reel this Whopper Plopper around a target. So if you're throwing that Whopper Plopper around any object in the water, wood, grass, rock, or something like that, make sure when you come past that ambush point, you really do that stop and go retrieve. But I do it anywhere. I do it just on open banks, open water, anything like that. Makes a big, big difference. And I think probably, guys, the biggest mistake that I see that people make with a Whopper Plopper is they reel it too slow. That's by far, that's probably the biggest thing that keeps people from catching on it. When you have a bait that's this large, I mean, this sucker is probably close to 7 inches long, and it's large. I mean, fish do not hit big lures that move slow very often. Once in a while, like a big realistic looking glide bait or swim bait, they're gonna do it. But every time, guys, you're fishing a larger bait, you've got to speed it up so those fish can't get a good look at it. So just try it, man. Just try the setup that I talked about. If you like fishing Whopper Ploppers and you've had some success, just give my system a try there. I think you guys will really like it. I've spent probably the last 10 years trying to perfect it, and it works really good for me. So hope it helps you guys catch some good ones. We'll talk later.